Angelina lowers the finished letter with quiet composure, confirming that yes, these are the contents she intends. Handing the sealed envelope to her maid, Lady Angelina asks that this important letter be sent out, and the maid dutifully accepts. She watches the letter go with measured certainty, musing that once it arrives, the current situation should finally begin to change. The scene shifts as a sharp-eyed noble declares he has no intention of waiting any longer for the royal family's response. Standing alone by the tall windows, Angelina lingers in anxious thought within the quiet elegance of her residence. Her expression tightens as she recalls that in less than a year she will be entering the Royal Academy. A faint bead of sweat betrays her unease as she admits that, if possible, she would like her fiancé decided before enrollment. Her gaze sharpens with quiet reflection as she notes it has been 2 full years since that first fateful conversation. The scene shifts 2 years into the past, where a younger Angelina stands composed within a vast, luminous corridor. Peering slyly from behind a doorway, a boy fixes his gaze on the distant Angelina with unmistakable interest. Standing with a hand on his hip, Carlos clicks his tongue in faint exasperation and mutters her name under his breath. Turning with mild surprise, Angelina glances over and softly questions whether it is her brother Carlos who has appeared. A heavy silence stretches between the siblings as Carlos says nothing at all across the empty, echoing hall. Carlos finally breaks the quiet, gravely uttering the name of the Crown Prince Leonhardt with pointed significance. He reveals with blunt finality that the Crown Prince has apparently called off his engagement to her. The single word engagement echoes through her stunned mind as Angelina stares blankly, utterly frozen by the revelation. Resting her chin thoughtfully, Angelina recalls hearing that a marriage proposal between the Steizen family and the royal family had been raised, then asks in disbelief whether the engagement has truly been cancelled. Crossing his arms with cold detachment, Carlos confirms flatly that the proposal has now been withdrawn. Her lashes lower in quiet contemplation as she absorbs that this decision came entirely at His Highness's own request. Angelina reflects that Prince Leonhardt, 1 year older than her and the same age as her brother, should now be 14. Carlos explains that as a duke's son, he had been a strong candidate to serve as the prince's close aide. He notes with quiet certainty that the aide position would have been all but guaranteed had she become His Highness's fiancée. Arms crossed and gaze cold, Carlos coldly declares that this entire misfortune is Angelina's fault. He tells her flatly that His Highness is disappointed in her, and that is precisely why she failed to become his fiancée. Angelina turns toward her brother in bewilderment, softly pressing him to explain exactly what he means. Bristling with sudden indignation, she demands to know why the prince would be disappointed when she has never even met him. Carlos snaps back with sharp incredulity, asking whether she truly claims to have no idea why. Leaning in with cold accusation, he presses her on whether she genuinely feels nothing at all for His Highness. Utterly baffled, Angelina wipes at a nervous sweat and stammers that she has no notion what he is talking about regarding the prince. Carlos coldly insists she knows full well, while Angelina fires back in exasperation that she has told him repeatedly she has never met the man. Turning to leave down the long corridor, Carlos mutters bitterly that she really dodged a bullet. Left utterly stunned, Angelina can only manage a faint, baffled sound as she stares after him. Carlos clicks his tongue one final time and strides away without another word. Watching him go, Angelina reflects that he had been unusually harsh with her lately, and resolves to keep an appropriate distance from now on. The scene lingers on Carlos, whose own thoughts betray that even now the whole affair remains a genuine mystery to him. Angelina muses that even after turning 15, His Highness's engagement has still not been announced, and her own remains equally undecided. Leaning wearily against a table, she notes with faint irony that proposals have nonetheless been coming to her, which means something. She realizes she is being treated as a mere backup candidate for Prince Leonhardt's fiancé, leaving every proposal for her suspended for a man whose face she has never even seen. Slumping against the desk, Angelina exhales a long, weary sigh, her composure sagging under the weight of it all. Resting her cheek on her arm, she reflects that although she has met His Majesty and the Queen and judged them well by their demeanor, she has still never once laid eyes on the prince himself. Angelina reflects with quiet unease that, however the proposals appear, what everyone truly wants is to formalize her engagement with His Highness. Pressing her hands together in silent dread, she concludes that Prince Leonhardt himself is likely the one refusing the engagement, and the thought alone makes her recoil. The scene shifts as an elderly maid appears at the door and announces that the Duke is calling for Lady Angelina. Her eyes widen with sudden hope as she wonders whether this could be it, quickly answering that she will come at once. Walking the long corridor, Angelina muses that perhaps His Highness has long been quietly manufacturing excuses to refuse an engagement with her. She reasons that until that engagement is finalized or falls through entirely, there must be another true choice the prince wishes to marry. Her profile hardens with wry resignation as she admits that, absurd as it sounds, she remains nothing more than the backup. The scene lingers over the sprawling capital, where Angelina watches the city through her window with distant, thoughtful eyes. She reasons gravely that if no title comes to her and she secures no marriage, she will become a burden on the ducal house, since the Steizen line is set to pass entirely to Carlos. Studying the rigid ladder of noble rank, she concludes that unless she marries into the royal family, her standing will inevitably fall as good matches grow ever scarcer with time. Resolve settling over her features, Angelina determines she must swiftly conclude a match with a house her father approves of, one lying safely beyond the reach of royal interference. The scene shifts to the Duke's study, where her stern father gravely announces that a proposal has arrived from the Baltzline Margrave of the North. Facing him squarely, Angelina steels herself and firmly implores her father to accept it. The Duke's brow lifts in surprise as Angelina calmly reveals that this particular proposal was initiated by her. She admits without flinching that she sent the letter herself, directly asking the Margrave's house to consider an alliance through marriage. Studying his daughter carefully, the Duke presses her in a low voice to explain her true reason. Angelina explains that the marriage talks with the royal family have plainly grown strained, so as a daughter of Steizen she perhaps should have waited, yet she chose instead to take matters into her own hands. Her gaze sharpens with cold certainty as she declares that the royal family has already taken far too long. Folding her hands tightly, Angelina states the quiet truth aloud, that Prince Leonhardt himself clearly has no intention of ever binding himself to her. The Duke's own hands settle heavily on the desk as he concedes, in a grave and measured tone, that this is indeed true. Angelina reasons coldly that between the royal family's endless indecision and their failure to secure any other match besides her, there is no longer any reason to keep indulging them, not for the sake of the nation nor their own house. Bowing her head respectfully, she formally implores her father to proceed with the engagement between herself and Margrave Baltzline. The Duke's expression darkens as he reminds her that the role of a Margrave is to defend the realm, murmuring the Baltzline name with heavy contemplation. He explains gravely that the Margrave's house protects the kingdom from the magical beasts pouring out of the great northern forest, though Baltzline does not guard the national border itself. The Duke solemnly recounts that both the previous Margrave and his wife perished several years ago in battle against those beasts, leaving the current Margrave only 5 years Angelina senior. He presses the point that if she has personally proposed such a match, she should grasp how brutal and perilous Baltzline is, for even the lord and lady of that house lost their lives in combat. Gazing down at his daughter, the Duke gravely warns her that she must truly understand how severe those lands are. Angelina answers plainly that no, she does not yet understand, and the flat honesty of it makes his eye narrow sharply. Leaning forward, the Duke coldly demands to know what she just said. Composed under his glare, Angelina admits she has heard of the former Margrave and his wife, yet insists that to truly understand that land, one must actually set foot upon it. She declares that only by seeing the magical beasts, the people who fight them, and the wounded with one's own eyes can that understanding ever be real. Meeting his gaze without flinching, Angelina concedes that she believes herself prepared, however difficult it may prove. Pressing a hand to her chest, she argues that unless she stands upon that land herself, no one will ever be convinced of her resolve. The Duke weighs her words in silence, reasoning that if a ducal house and a margravial house are joined, the central government will extend its support to a family bearing part of the nation's defense. Studying the proposal, he concedes that few noble ladies wish to marry into a land of constant battle, so in that sense the match is genuinely advantageous. His gaze lifts to her as he states that for the sake of the country and their house, this engagement holds great significance, and Angelina answers simply, yes. A faint approval crosses the Duke's stern face as he concludes that if she understands even that much, then it is fine, and quietly relents with a measured very well. Rising to his full height, the Duke decrees that before this engagement is finalized, Angelina will travel to Baltzline territory herself. Placing a firm hand upon her head, he instructs her to go there, to see and hear all that she can, and then return to give him her answer. He grants her the right to decide for herself whether this engagement proceeds, and Angelina gazes up in quiet astonishment, then smiles warmly and offers him a heartfelt thank you. The great carriage wheel spins furiously across the rough road, kicking up dust as the journey presses onward. Seated within the ornate coach beside a stack of luggage, Angelina gazes out the window while the convoy winds through the deep forest. Watching the scenery drift past, she reflects that 2 full years have passed since that very first fateful discussion. The scene shifts to a memory of Carlos, whose grave expression lingers as he murmurs that since then, so it has already been 2 years. A younger Angelina stands before a mirror in bewilderment, breathing that something is happening as a stunned Carlos demands to know what is going on. Reeling in disbelief, she frantically wonders aloud how old she is right now, while a shadowed figure utters the name of Prince Leonhardt. Her hands press against the glass as she recalls the memory vividly, the very moment just before time itself rewound. The scene blazes with blinding light as a voice rings out, declaring boldly that she is Angelina Steizen. Amid the swirling radiance, the fateful words echo out, announcing the breaking off of their engagement. The vision fades as a much older, weary Angelina stares ahead with hollow, haunted eyes. Standing alone on a leaf-strewn balcony, a heartbroken young man named Merc quietly wonders whether he will ever be loved by her again. The scene settles into the present as Angelina notes it is September of her 15th year, the season when summer slowly draws to a close, 6 months before entering the Royal Academy. She reflects that the road from the royal capital to Baltzline territory is a grueling 2-week journey by carriage. Resting thoughtfully within the coach, Angelina wonders quietly what sort of person the Margrave might turn out to be. Her eyes widen sharply as something outside catches her attention, and she breathes that it is finally in sight. The convoy rolls toward a sprawling walled settlement as Angelina beholds Baltzline's town for the very first time. The imposing stone fortress rises grandly against the sky, revealed as the residence of the Baltzline frontier count. Stepping inside, a startled Angelina is met by a beaming girl who cheerfully welcomes her sister-in-law to Baltzline territory before a gathered crowd of servants. Bouncing with delight, the energetic girl introduces herself as Ash Baltzline, greeting a thoroughly bewildered Angelina who can only echo the words sister-in-law in confusion. Angelina stares in quiet astonishment at the girl's radiant features, marveling privately at her lovely pink blonde hair and shimmering sky-blue eyes. Arya clasps Angelina's hands and declares brightly that she is so lovely. Angelina holds her composure at first, then a single bead of sweat betrays her quiet bewilderment. The mother-hen politeness kicks in as Angelina thanks Arya warmly and returns the compliment, calling her beautiful too. Arya beams and names her guest properly as the Lady of the Steizen Dukedom. A dark-haired young man steps forward and introduces himself as Seta, son of the Seta Viscount family who served the Baltzline house. Explains further that he is Lady Arya's attendant and supervisor, as well as an advisor to Lord Ash. Offers to lead the way, telling Angelina he will take her to meet Lord Ash. Angelina's thoughts turn inward, and she realizes with quiet weight that she finally gets to meet him. Her heeled shoes click forward as she reflects that this is the one who will decide her future life. The party moves down a long stone corridor, leading while Arya and Angelina follow. Arya bounds ahead and announces gleefully to her brother Ash that sister-in-law Angelina has arrived. A hand throws open the heavy door, and a low, unimpressed voice from within simply bids them come in. The Margrave regards her with a cool, measured stare, and Angelina meets his gaze with startled composure. Standing in the grand receiving room, Angelina bows and introduces herself formally as it is a pleasure to meet Lord Baltzline. The young lord thanks her for coming all this way and names himself Ash Baltzline, privately noting that the letter had not prepared him for someone so young in person. Ash graciously thanks her first for accepting his response to the marriage proposal, and she demurs that it was beneficial for them as well. Ash gestures aside and tells her that although there are matters to discuss, she must be tired from the long journey, and a room has been prepared for her. Angelina inclines her head and answers that they shall speak later, while adds that rooms await her maids and guards as well. Alone at last in her stone-walled chamber, Angelina stands quietly before the grand canopied bed. She sinks against the bed with a soft phew, the tension of the meeting finally draining from her. Angelina senses that the household welcomes her warmly, yet beneath the smiles the pressure of expectation from those around Lord Ash presses on her even harder than the man himself. She resolves inwardly that she must speak with him properly as an individual, all the more curious what his true intentions were in accepting this proposal at all. Steeling herself with a sharp breath, Angelina braces and tells herself all right. The scene shifts to Ash at his desk, pen in hand and book stacked high, standing attentively beside him. A knock sounds, and word comes through the door that the ducal lady has arrived, to which Ash answers simply to let her in. Angelina steps into the study and offers a composed "pardon me." Ash asks whether she has rested already, and she thanks him graciously for preparing the room. Angelina gathers her nerve and ventures that, if she may be so sudden, there is something she wishes to raise with his lordship. She asks pointedly whether he would have some time, because she would like to talk about the future. Ash leans forward and answers that of course he does, as he too has things he wishes to hear from her. Angelina apologizes in advance that she might be about to say something rude, and Ash blinks with a puzzled ah. She requests plainly whether they could speak with just the two of them, without his attendant, prompting Urk to protest my lord in alarm. Ash agrees, explaining with dry candor that with Urk present he probably cannot speak his true mind, while Urk insists he will not interrupt. Urk argues that should any gaps appear in his lordship's considerations he will provide supplementary information, and Ash asks flatly whether that is true. The scene lingers on the grim stone battlements of the frontier fortress against a pale sky. Settled at last in the drawing room, Ash turns to the matter and addresses her as Lady Steizen, regarding the marriage proposal she sent him. Angelina answers with quiet sincerity that she considers it a very welcome proposal. Ash echoes back "Is that so?" then adds a waited however as Angelina watches from her seat. Leaning forward gravely, Ash warns her that Baltzline is a harsh land, and that due to the frequent battles with magical beasts she is likely already aware of its dangers. He concludes that while her proposal is welcome, he also believes this is not a place a typical noble lady should marry into, leaving Angelina to meet the challenge in silence. Angelina tilts her head and presses him gently on what exactly he means, while Ash falters with an evasive "ah, no." Urk steps in to finish the thought, explaining that for a woman like her, who could surely find any number of suitable matches in the capital. Angelina reads between the lines and grasps that his lordship is thinking it would be better for her not to choose him. The three faces hold intense close-up, Ash guarded, Angelina unreadable, Urk watchful. She turns the thought over and acknowledges that his welcoming feelings are genuine, yet even so he believes she should reconsider marrying into so dangerous a land. A quiet beat passes between them, Angelina calm and resolved while Ash sweats faintly under her steady gaze. Angelina answers coolly that she has her own circumstances, and adds that to begin with this marriage proposal was something she herself desired, drawing a startled lord from Ash. Ash presses his knuckle to his lips and asks whether she is a candidate for Crown Prince Leonhardt's fiancée. She corrects him with composure that rather than a candidate she is more of a reserve, and Urk notes that the king wishes a marriage alliance with the Steizen house yet Prince Leonhardt himself is refusing it. Ash asks whether a reserve means the prince already has someone else he is pursuing, and Angelina replies that he likely has someone in mind. Urk frowns and wonders aloud, then why the prince does not simply become engaged to that person. Urk concedes that the prince's reasons are unclear to him, but observes pointedly that being left a reserve is troublesome. He reasons further that if the royal family has not yet given up on the engagement with the Steizen house, then complications follow, while Ash listens gravely. Angelina confirms it plainly, that at worst her marriage talks could be quashed outright by the royal family. Ash follows the logic to its end, that she must therefore settle on a marriage with a partner even the royal family would accept, and she answers yes, naming him a suitable candidate in that very regard. Angelina's profile sharpens as she adds that if there is a problem, it lies elsewhere. She confesses that the harshness of this land does not extend beyond the realm of her imagination, and admits with candor that she has never once faced a magical beast. Angelina lowers her eyes and declares firmly that precisely because this proposal was her own desire, she does not wish to become a burden or cause trouble for anyone here. Ash and Urk exchange a measuring glance in the aftermath, the weight of her words settling between them. Ash lowers his lashes and quietly concedes that all right, he understands. Ash asks whether she will be staying in this land for a while, and Angelina answers that, if permitted, she was thinking until her enrollment at the Royal Academy at the longest. She clarifies that enrollment falls next April, so at most 6 months. Ash addresses her again with a measured Lady Steizen. He acknowledges that they both have things they are uneasy about, concerns weighing on either side, and grants that there are probably many. Ash tells her plainly that during these 6 months, he wants her to get to know this land well and judge it for herself. Angelina answers that if she should ever feel living here would be too harsh, she asks him to tell her without hesitation as well. Ash extends his hand and explains that the talk of whether or not to finalize the engagement can wait, asking whether that is acceptable. Angelina lays her hand toward his and answers softly, "Of course, my lord." She admits with faint amusement that calling him just Ash might be difficult, and he replies flatly that it is Ash. Ash takes her hand and concedes that it does not matter what she uses, but he permits her to call him by his name, and she thanks him. A blush rises across Angelina's face, a bead of sweat betraying her composure. She ventures tentatively then, "Lord Ash," and he glances back with mild surprise. Angelina asks in turn that he please call her Angelina, and Ash answers with a quiet, softening understood. Ash tells her that then Angelina he looks forward to working with her for the time being, and she returns that likewise, she will be in his care. The scene shifts forward, Angelina attended by maids in one moment, sunlight spilling over the northern mountains in the next. The months unfold in glimpses, Angelina studying beside Arya in the library under Urk's watchful eye. She shares meals at the frontier table and walks its halls among the household as the season turns. Ash watches the girls play beyond a frosted window while Angelina carries an armful of books through the great library. The two ride out together on horseback beneath a bright northern sky, side by side. Angelina smiles beside Ash in the open air, and as arrows loose toward distant targets, the harsh land quietly begins to feel like something she could call her own. Arya thanks her brother warmly, while Angelina catches sight of something ahead and cautions that sister-in-law, they should go no further than this. Angelina's eye narrows in dawning recognition as she breathes that is. Rearing from the snow, a massive black wolf bares its fangs, and she names it aghast as a magical beast. Knights hold the line at the barricade against the pack, and Angelina reasons that perhaps because she has trained somewhat, or because some distance still remains between them. A single tear tracks down her cheek as she notes with detachment that her body is not seized by terror, yet something stirs in her all the same. Arya spots him and cries out, "Ah, Brother Ash," as Angelina turns and the household looks on. Ash sweeps in with blade and shield, cutting the beast down in a single fluid strike. Angelina's eyes go wide with wonder, and she breathes that Lord Ash is amazing. The knights erupt in triumph around him, weapons raised as the beast falls. The soldiers explain that it is because the Margrave lives here in this land that the kingdom's peace is maintained. They tell her that he is an indispensable person for this land, and Angelina absorbs the words in silence. Watching him from afar, Angelina resolves quietly that she too wants to become someone who can support him. The scene shifts to Arya back at the residence, fretting to herself that their distance really is not closing much. Urk asks whether she means Lord Ash and Lady Angelina, and Arya sighs a rueful yeah. Arya concedes that between an older brother watching over her and a devoted sister working hard, it is not as though the two never interact. She declares with a raised finger that they need some explosive event to really bring them closer. Arya rounds on Urk and orders him cheerfully to come up with a good idea, leaving him blinking at being volunteered. Urk raises a hand to his chin and muses well, in that case, as the training yard stirs below. The scene shifts to a knight demonstrating with a planted sword, announcing that the Winter Solstice Festival will soon be held throughout the entire Baltzline territory. He explains that in Baltzline many fight to protect their loved ones and the land from magical beasts, closing the chapter on the promise of the coming festival. Urk continues gravely that inevitably, in a land like this, there are sacrifices. He explains that on the short night of the winter solstice, those who fell in battle against magical beasts return as spirits, and the festival exists to console their souls. Feasts are laid out to welcome and honor the fallen, set alongside charms that pray for the safety of the living. Arya adds brightly that to prepare the food, the people are permitted to hunt freely throughout this period, and Angelina murmurs that she sees. Urk notes pointedly that Lord Ash carries the duty of inspecting the festival preparations across the whole territory, and Arya begins with a sly little, "So." Ash stands beside his pale horse and observes, with faint amusement, that Angelina will therefore be accompanying them. Angelina answers with composed warmth that she looks forward to it, and Ash quietly returns the sentiment. He tells her, with something softer than usual, that he is glad she takes an interest in Baltzline's culture. The carriage waits gleaming in the winter light as Ash asks whether they shall go. The two step out together into the timber-framed streets of a Baltzline town, the crown prince's forgotten reserve now at ease beside her Margrave. Ash extends a gloved hand and asks for hers, and Angelina takes it with a breathless little yes. They pass through the bustling festival stalls under the watchful eyes of townsfolk, the couple threading the crowd side by side. An aproned baker greets them warmly at his stall, and Angelina brightens at the wares laid out before her. A vendor presses one of the octagonal safety charms into her palm, and she regards the small luminous thing with quiet wonder. Ash offers to carry the growing stack of parcels and remarks, half teasing, that she must be tired. Angelina protests that she is the one who should apologize for dragging him about so much, then thanks him earnestly. Sipping from a warm cup, she observes that the winter solstice festival will go on without issue, and Ash agrees that everyone seems to be steadily making progress. Angelina turns to him and asks, rather suddenly, whether Lord Ash likes the people of Baltzline, and he replies with mild surprise that of course he does. She reflects that not only those in the castle but the townsfolk too are kind, and even under such harsh conditions they never forget compassion for others. Angelina confesses with a luminous, faintly blushing smile that she likes them too, and Ash, caught off guard, breathes only her name. Urk approaches gravely and calls out for Lord Ash, who turns to ask what it is. Urk reports that a message has come from a traveling merchant, and his expression tightens with something unspoken. Hooves strike the paved road as the horses carry them toward the forest's edge. Beneath the pale canopy, Angelina asks whether they are going to patrol this area, and Ash answers simply that they are. Riding at his side, she relays that according to the merchant's report, a large beast was sighted around here not long ago. Ash explains that magical beasts usually remain beyond the wall and are rarely seen inland, yet the materials for the charms are gathered precisely in this area. He concludes gravely that if the merchant speaks truthfully, the people harvesting those materials are in danger, and they must subdue the beast and confirm the situation at once. Angelina reasons that this close to the forest edge, the creature may have broken through or climbed over the wall. Ash agrees that if holes were opened in the wall unnoticed and magical beasts flooded the territory, it would be disastrous, and Angelina murmurs that even a wall guarantees nothing. He reflects quietly that if walls alone were enough, then people would never lose their lives fighting magical beasts. Urk relays that he is organizing a patrol unit, and they need only hold out until it arrives. Ash warns Angelina not to push herself and to retreat immediately if danger approaches, and she answers obediently that she will. Angelina's eyes suddenly widen at something glimpsed through the trees. She calls out that there is a deer over there, and Ash confirms with faint interest that she is right. He proposes, half testing her, that since they are here they might try hunting it, and Angelina notes with quiet approval that he has a good eye. Angelina knocks an arrow and steadies her gloved grip with a low, "all right." Ash reflects that there is also physical strengthening through magic as Angelina takes aim and declares that she will try. The arrow looses with a sharp hiss while the unsuspecting deer bows its head to the grass. Later, back in town, Angelina begins nervously with an while Ash falters with an ah, the two fidgeting in mirrored, wordless awkwardness. Ash finally holds out one of the octagonal charms and asks, with rare hesitation, whether she would accept it, whether she will take this token meant to keep her safe. The two lean close, gazes meeting for a charged, wordless moment before the world intrudes. Ash praises her clean shot as the arrow-struck deer buckles in a burst of motion, and Angelina begins to thank him. The deer collapses onto the paved ground, and Angelina watches its fall with quiet composure. A low sound stirs the trees, and both turn with matching wariness, Angelina uttering a startled, "Oh," and Ash a sharper. From the dark of the forest a vast winged shape erupts, towering over the pair as the patrol scatters. Ash draws his blade and realizes aloud that what looks like a bird is in truth a magical beast. The creature lunges in a rush of wind, and Ash seizes Angelina and pulls her hard against him as she cries out. He shields her fully with his body as they tumble to the ground, and Angelina breathes his name in dazed gratitude. Ash gazes down at her with rare tenderness and tells her he is glad she is safe. The beast wheels overhead and dives again, driving its beak down toward Angelina where she kneels. Ash flings himself between them, taking the blow, and shouts that the beast is targeting her and she must run while he holds it back. Wounded, he plants his sword and holds his ground, though something in his voice falters into a fragile, but. Angelina's eyes flood with tears as she trembles, and she tells herself sharply that this is no time to freeze up. She grips her bow with steadying resolve, thinking that she must act now, for the people of the territory. And, above all, to protect Lord Ash, she draws an arrow to full tension. Ash catches sight of her and demands, aghast, what on earth she thinks she is doing. Angelina calmly declares that she will imbue the arrow with the wind magic she has learned. The arrow tears loose in a howling gale, her eyes fixed and unflinching. The gust slams into the beast and rips a scream from its throat. The magical arrow detonates against the creature in a roaring burst of wind and debris. Urk stares at the fallen creature, his composure shaken. He observes that this must be what the merchant saw, and Irk breathes that the thing is unbelievably huge. Studying the great bird sprawled against the wall, they agree it was so enormous the merchant likely mistook it for a magical beast, and that it was a good thing they noticed early. Irk turns to Angelina and admits, with grudging respect, that she handled it remarkably well. Arya beams among the gathered patrol and declares that they owe it all to her. The scene shifts to the winter solstice night, the town glittering with lights and drifting sparks as Angelina and Ash walk together beneath the clock tower. Ash tells her warmly that he is glad they were able to reach this day safely, and Angelina softly agrees. At the feast, a townsman reveals that the dishes being served even use the very bird they hunted, and Arya gapes that they can actually eat that. Ash gently threads something into Angelina's braided hair while she watches, and she does the same for him in turn. Angelina gazes down at the paired charms cradled in her gloved hands with quiet, luminous contentment. The narrator notes that once winter passes, Angelina will return to the royal capital to enter the academy. Ash promises to keep his charm with him always, thinking of it as her, and Angelina replies tenderly that she will treasure hers as well. Arya watches the couple with a satisfied little smile, and Irk asks her pointedly how it went. Arya declares with triumphant glee that it was the best possible outcome. The scene shifts half a year onward to the royal capital, where Angelina walks the palace grounds and reflects that it has been 6 months. A voice remarks that it seems she has at last returned, now that enrollment is finally near. Angelina turns upon the stair to face a dark-haired young man, and addresses him evenly as Brother Carlos. Carlos asks, with faint edge, whether she has come to welcome him. He answers his own question coldly, saying there is no way he would ever do something like that. He passes her on the steps and warns her curtly to behave herself at the academy, leaving only her name, Angelina, hanging in the air. Carlos descends the stair beside her and tells her gravely to understand the responsibility she must bear, and Angelina answers with a wary, yes. He warns her pointedly to make sure she does not drag their house's name through the mud. Angelina lowers her gaze, her expression unreadable beneath the falling light. She calls after him with unexpected softness, remarking that he has grown so thin and that she thinks he should eat a bit more properly. Carlos halts, thrown, and manages only a baffled, huh, as her meaning fails to land. Angelina explains earnestly that a solid build is better for a man, after all, while her brother stands frozen in dumbfounded silence. Carlos rounds on her and demands, wide-eyed, what on earth she is talking about. Climbing the stair, Angelina offers a serene apology, explaining that she was surrounded by such people for about half a year. She adds that her engagement has now been decided, and that when she marries she wishes to bring achievements of her own, and will use her time at the academy for that purpose. Carlos stares after her, aghast, and insists that this time, in order to be worthy of Prince Leonhardt, she should have striven to be chosen by him. Angelina pauses on the steps, her back to him, as his words settle over her. She turns with a cool, measured gaze and repeats the phrase quietly to herself, wondering what he means by this time. The scene shifts to the day of the entrance ceremony, where Angelina arrives at the Grand Academy amid a flourish of attendants and drifting petals. She freezes mid-step with a startled, as a familiar figure waits at the top of the stairs. Ash greets her smoothly, saying so she has come, and Angelina cries out his name in disbelief. Angelina hurries toward him and asks, breathless, why on earth he is here. Bewildered, she can only echo a faint pardon, as he explains that everyone encouraged him to chase after her. She reminds him, flustered, that they are in a relationship destined for future marriage. Ash regards her with a warm, knowing smile, a faint flush at his cheek. He declares that he will attend the academy together with her and show all the other students exactly where things stand, closing the chapter on a note of quiet, sweeping triumph. Ash tells Angelina evenly that it means the two of them share that particular kind of bond, the words falling soft against a scatter of drifting rose petals. Angelina replies with composed mischief that she was told to show it off, while Ash falters and murmurs in awkward denial. Ash glances sidelong, faintly flushed, and Angelina meets it with cool, unreadable poise. Angelina lowers her eyes and stifles a small laugh behind her hand before declaring, well then. Angelina asks brightly, gazing down at him, whether Lord Ash truly means to escort her to the academy, and Ash confirms it, adding with quiet regret that he will not be able to remain at her side once there. Ash reaches to take her offered hand, expression softening into something reluctant and tender. Angelina answers with luminous grace that no, it is entirely an honor. Ash asks, warm and formal, whether they shall go, and Angelina agrees with a gentle yes, Lord Ash. The carriage rolls out beneath a wide pale sky, wheels grinding steadily along the cobbled road. Angelina asks pointedly how long Lord Ash intends to stay in the capital, and he considers it with a thoughtful, "Let me see." Ash explains that it will not be months this time, only a few days, then adds that there is something else. Ash mentions offhandedly that he is thinking of greeting His Majesty while he is at it, and Angelina goes rigid with alarm. Angelina reels inwardly at the sheer audacity of treating an audience with the king as a mere afterthought, aghast at how disrespectful it sounds. Angelina steadies herself and reasons that if he will linger even a few days, then the question becomes what she ought to do with them. The thought unfurls as she pictures the two of them walking together, that this is a fine chance to incidentally show him around the royal capital. Angelina hesitates, murmuring that Lord Ash surely has his own schedule to keep, when Ash quietly speaks her name, Angelina. Ash adds, low and careful, that it would only be if she does not mind. Ash asks her, with unguarded earnestness, whether she would later walk through the streets of the royal capital with him. Angelina's breath catches, her profile caught in startled stillness. Angelina blurts a flustered no before her composure dissolves entirely, and as Ash hastily insists he would never force her, she confesses in a rush, cheeks burning, that she wants to go together. The carriage draws up before the towering capital walls, hooves clattering as the driver reins the horses to a halt. Angelina steps down and thanks Lord Ash for his hand, while nearby students murmur that they have never seen such a carriage and wonder aloud which noble it belongs to. Angelina offers with poised sweetness that she will escort him to the gate, and Ash accepts with a slightly flustered yes. Angelina reflects inwardly that the whole purpose is to show them off as a close pair of fiancés, her hand clasped firmly in his even as she knows the reason behind it. Angelina confesses to herself that she is happy, that it is embarrassing and yet somehow more than she can hold. The Grand Academy gate rises ahead, thronged with figures passing beneath its arches. Ash halts and tells her plainly that this is as far as he goes. Angelina thanks him for seeing her off, and Ash answers with quiet warmth, yes, then until next time. Ash lingers a moment longer, then murmurs her name once more, Angelina. Angelina glances up at the sudden pause and answers with a soft, distracted yes. Ash leans close under a hush of falling light, his face near hers in a breathless, trembling nearness. Angelina's eyes go wide, her whole composure shattering in an instant. Angelina stammers in helpless confusion while whispers erupt around her, students gasping that surely this cannot be Lord Ash. Ash flushes and admits, clenching his fist, that Arya told him to at least do something like this, though he insists he does not mean to shift the blame. Angelina inwardly cries that this is going too far, echoed by a mortified Arya wailing that her brother has truly gone too far. The scene settles at the academy grounds, where Angelina stands composed at the gate as a fair-haired student passes behind her. Angelina overhears the girls buzzing that they saw it on his forehead, that they wonder whether that person just now was really him. Angelina steels herself, insisting she is not here to play and must pull herself together, even as she admits that time with Lord Ash has left her strangely elated. A memory of her resolve surfaces against the vast frontier snows, that in the future she will marry into Baltzline and become a true strength in that cornerstone of national defense. Angelina's gaze sharpens with quiet ambition as she vows to train against magical beasts, to build ties with the feudal lords, and to prove she possesses not only martial prowess but intelligence as well. Angelina resolves that she must spend her time at this academy with high awareness, her heeled steps striking the pavement with purpose. Angelina lets out a long, weary sigh, her composure momentarily slipping into flustered exasperation. Angelina buries her burning face in her hands and cries out honestly, oblivious to the students eyeing her all around. Angelina steadies her gaze, reminding herself that it is only just beginning. Angelina strides forward beneath a wide sky, bracing herself and vowing to do her best. Angelina pauses at the iron gate, and her ruby eyes sharpen into sudden, arresting focus. A voice from memory murmurs her name, Angelina Steizen, as a black-haired girl watches the fair-haired pair walk past. The scene shifts, and a shadowy student sneers that there is no place at this academy for someone like Angelina, the villainess. Angelina, or rather the girl remembering, breathes a stricken sigh into the quiet. A memory surfaces of a black-haired girl in a plain nightgown, staring at her reflection and recognizing the ruby-red eyes and dark hair of a strange new world. The girl realizes with a jolt that she resembles the heroine of an otome game she once adored. The girl trembles, wondering aloud what it means if she truly is the heroine and this is truly the world of Bloom Knight. A memory surfaces of the character she loved best in that game, his face half-lit and smiling. The girl's eyes go wide and starry as she wonders whether she could even end up with Prince Leonhardt himself. The girl throws a fist skyward and declares that everything is for the sake of being with Leonhardt, and to reach him she must enter the Royal Academy as a scholarship student. The girl recalls pouring every waking moment into study and magic after a baron's family took her in as an orphan, knowing the game begins at age 15. The girl's eyes brim as she realizes she has finally reached the starting line. Angelina, watching her fiancé, notes with unease that the man beside the villainous Angelina Steizen is some handsome stranger she does not recognize. The girl studies Ash's face and thinks pointedly that he was never one of the love interests in Bloom Knight. The girl's eye narrows in dawning doubt, wondering whether this world is different from the one she believes it to be. The black-haired girl reels back, hair whipping, and gasps that there is no way this can be happening. The girl races down the corridor in a frenzy, reasoning that if the encounter event with Leonhardt is truly coming, she has to reach the courtyard, and wondering why else she would carry these memories. The girl bursts into the fountain courtyard and freezes at the sight of a fair-haired figure waiting there. The girl clutches her chest, breath ragged, as the young man turns toward her with a faint, knowing smile. The young man asks softly who she is, and the girl marvels that he is the real thing. The girl stammers a flustered excuse that she has lost her way, and he answers smoothly that the academy is very vast after all, while she thrills inwardly that it is really him. The prince regards her with cool poise, and the girl recognizes him exactly as the game promised, as a caption names him Leonhardt asking whether she is a new student. The girl's eyes brim over with tears of joy at meeting the very Leonhardt of Bloom Knight. The prince extends a gracious hand and offers to show her around the academy, and the girl exults that she has pulled off the encounter event. The girl breathes to herself, trembling with certainty, that this is definitely the world of Bloom Knight. The girl clasps the prince's hand as petals drift around the two of them. The girl vows with fierce resolve, held close in the courtyard, that she will definitely make sure the two of them end up together. Unseen on the balcony above, Carlos Steizen watches the pair with a shadowed, unreadable expression. The scene shifts, and students whisper behind their hands that they saw that girl at the gate, that she stood in the very front row. Angelina sits composed amid the classroom murmurs, reflecting wryly that rumors certainly spread fast. Angelina lowers her eyes, recalling that she struck the mark perfectly, and wonders with faint unease whether her goal all along had merely been to show off. The academy spreads wide beneath the sky as Angelina observes that it is a microcosm of the next generation's noble society, where relationships and scandals travel with alarming speed. Angelina's gaze hardens as she considers that eventually even the news concerning His Highness will reach every corner of it. A voice announces that everyone is present, and Angelina lifts her head, her attention snapping to the front of the room. A dark-haired instructor introduces himself as Neil Draught, overseer of the class and special instructor for history and royal linguistics, adding pointedly that he has also been tasked with evaluating each student's school life and examinations. Angelina blinks in mild puzzlement as the dark-haired instructor casts a sidelong glance her way. Neil Draught's gaze lingers on her a moment longer, and he begins gravely that already. Angelina's shoulders sink as he continues that some of them may have noticed various rumors flying around. Neil warns that in this place even the most trivial rumor spreads in the blink of an eye. Neil declares firmly that they must not let themselves be swayed by such trifles and act on impulse. Angelina listens quietly as he adds that he will tolerate no foul play or insolent behavior toward others either. Neil announces that once the entrance ceremony is done they are dismissed for the day, and Angelina wonders wryly whether he is warning the other students for her sake. The scene shifts to the academy exit, where a waiting attendant murmurs Lord Ash's name as Angelina comes running toward him with a delighted cry of her name. Angelina confirms brightly that yes, she is finished for the day, and Ash asks whether her classes are truly over. Angelina asks how long he has been waiting, and Ash answers with a sheepish just a moment ago. Ash explains that he only just finished his greetings to His Majesty, so the timing turned out perfect. Ash offers his gloved hand, saying simply, "Well then." Angelina beams and declares that she shall show him around the royal capital, clasping his hand in hers. The two of them stroll the bustling capital streets, while behind them Seta trails a flustered Arya clutching a heart-shaped pretzel. Ash and Angelina lean close together, both laughing softly, the happiest they have looked. The carriage rolls away afterward, wheels clattering over cobblestone as Ash murmurs her name and Angelina answers with a warm yes. Ash asks, thoughtful in the dim carriage light, whether she plans to continue her training. Angelina answers with radiant enthusiasm that she intends to keep honing both her sword skills and her magic, and Ash replies with a quiet "I see." Ash's expression falters, softening into something hesitant as he murmurs, "Well." Ash tells her gently that she does not have to push herself so hard, and Angelina tilts her head at him in genuine confusion. Inside the swaying carriage, Ash takes Angelina's hand and quietly vows that he will protect her. Angelina flushes with a soft giggle while Ash studies her, his composure faltering. Beaming, she brightly declares that she intends to become strong, leaving him to murmur her name in surprise. She leans close and confides, eyes shut and smiling, that she wants to be more than someone shielded from behind. Angelina tells him tenderly that she wishes to stand right at his side, and Ash listens with quiet astonishment. She thanks him warmly, and Ash relents with measured grace, saying he must respect her feelings, one eye softening in wry defeat. Arya abruptly cries out for Lord Ash, and Angelina brightens with a startled little gasp. Twisting round toward the flustered Margrave, Angelina eagerly proposes that they do some sword training right now. Ash echoes back an incredulous inquiry, and she answers with an emphatic, delighted yes. Angelina admits that touring the royal capital is lovely, then teases pointedly that swordplay would be far more like the two of them. Clasping her hands in triumph, she cheers that they will do exactly that, while Ash confesses with faint resignation that Baltzline may have influenced him too much. Urk, being an alumnus, offers to see what he can do, as Arya wonders aloud whether they might borrow the Academy's training grounds. A weapon strikes hard against the earth, throwing up a burst of dust and splinters. The scene shifts to the training yard, where Angelina wryly observes that this is not exactly the most romantic conclusion imaginable. The two square off, gazes sharpening, as she names this a fitting end to their first date. Angelina lunges as her blade shatters against Ash's staff, fragments scattering through the air. They lock eyes across their crossed weapons, and she thinks contentedly that this, truly, is very much like them. The scene shifts elsewhere, where a dark-haired young man gazes down over the sprawling academy grounds far below. Carlos turns coolly toward a hooded figure at the gate, greeting him as Neil and remarking that this day has finally come. Neil asks pointedly whether things will go well this time, and the hooded figure answers that no one can see the future. The hooded figure agrees quietly, saying that for now each of them must fulfill their own separate roles. Neil turns away and walks off, vowing gravely that he will be the most impartial teacher there is, while the hooded figure murmurs that it is time to begin. The scene shifts to the game heroine, who stands before the academy and softly speaks Merc's name to herself. A memory surfaces of Prince Leonhardt watching her from a balcony, arms folded, as she gazes out a distant window below. The prince tells the two of them that he will need them to do their best as well, his eye narrowing with quiet intent. Someone studies a dossier and a photograph on the desk, murmuring that so this is the girl in question. The game heroine reclines by her window with a paper in hand, noting wryly that this is the Baron's daughter the Crown Prince is infatuated with. The scene gathers its players together, the laughing couple, a shrouded stranger, and a cold, dark-haired young man watching them all. The black-haired heroine gazes forward with quiet resolve, flowers blooming around her. The scene shifts to Ash, who confirms that he is returning to Baltzline territory today, while Arya slumps in exhaustion nearby. Ash explains that he really must head back, since Arya and Urk are only temporarily handling the duties of the Lord for him. Angelina frets that it truly bothers her she cannot simply go see him, since it takes 2 weeks to reach Baltzline from the capital. She lifts a hand toward her eye with a small strained smile, calling to him uncertainly as Lord Ash. Ash gently reminds her that children of various nobles attend the academy, and she might end up mingling with political enemies. He admits that he doubts anyone would dare harm a duke's daughter, though the thought clearly unsettles him. Cupping her face, Ash confesses tenderly that he worries he will not be able to rush to her side if something happens to her. Angelina touches her cheek where his hand rested, her expression soft with quiet feeling. She calls to him again as Lord Ash, gripping the protective charm at her chest. Beaming, she declares that she feels as though he is always watching over her right by her side, and insists that is truly what she thinks. Ash smiles faintly and agrees, then lifts his own charm and tells her tenderly that he is always thinking of her too. Ash lifts the little charm and tells her warmly that this accessory is proof they are connected. Angelina clutches her own charm, echoing the word connected in a soft daze, as Ash bids her a fond well then, Angelina. Ash smiles from atop the departing carriage and tells her he is looking forward to the next time they meet. He bids her take care until then, and she clasps her charm tight with a bright, beaming yes. The scene lingers on Angelina alone, gripping the charm at her sleeve, her gaze thoughtful beneath the academy clock tower. A brown-haired classmate leans in with concern, calling her Lady Angelina and asking whether something is the matter. The girl asks brightly whether His Excellency the Frontier Count was returning home today, and Angelina murmurs the name Misha in surprise. Misha explains sheepishly that she figured Angelina might be lonely, and Angelina wonders why she would bring up Lord Ash at all. Winking, Misha asks whether the two of them have not known each other for a long time. Angelina smiles and remarks that this is just as she would expect from her childhood friend. A memory diagrams the realm's hierarchy, noting that her family, the Viscount Trimal House, sits under the protection of the Steizen dukedom at the frontier. Misha shyly mentions there is something she wants to ask, adding that she has not been a mere attendant since they were young, for the two have grown close as friends. Misha nervously asks whether Angelina knows of Professor Draught, and Angelina answers plainly that of course she does, since he supervises their classroom. Misha admits there is a part of the lesson she did not understand at all, something from the Royal Linguistics class he teaches. Cringing, Misha confesses that she is too scared to go ask him a question, since he seems so blunt. A memory surfaces of Neil gravely warning the class not to be swayed by trivial matters and act rashly, while Angelina insists he is surely kinder than he seems. Misha thanks her tearfully, and Angelina takes her hand, offering to go with her and ask the professor the question together. Neil's voice sounds from within, curtly bidding whoever waits to come in. The two present themselves at his door, explaining that they came to ask a question about the lesson, as he names them Angelina Steizen and Misha Trimal. Misha thanks him nervously while Neil coolly tells them to come in and make it quick, echoing that they have a question. Neil finishes explaining from across the table and asks whether that is all for their questions, as Misha beams and thanks him for his help. Angelina rises with a graceful little smile and tells him well then, please excuse us. Neil remarks pointedly that, come to think of it, Steizen is on friendly terms with Lord Baltzline, is she not? Angelina falters and murmurs for Misha to hold on, aghast that word has even reached Professor Draught. Angelina asks warily why the professor would bring that up now. Misha marvels aloud that he knows about the Frontier Count, and Angelina blinks in flustered surprise. Leaning forward, Neil declares evenly that Lord Ash is a good man who does not abandon people. He tells Angelina plainly that she has found a good match, leaving both girls wide-eyed. Angelina inwardly names him Instructor Draught in astonishment as he turns with a faint smile and tells her to cherish it. The scene draws back to 3 windows, the two girls departing while Neil lingers alone at his. Outside the door Angelina admits he was not as scary as she thought, and Misha happily agrees. Angelina presses a hand to her chest, marveling that she heard Lord Ash's reputation praised in such an unexpected place. Beaming with quiet joy, Angelina thinks that there are people who know Lord Ash is a wonderful person and confesses she is happy. She admits with a sheepish blush that she feels happy whenever Lord Ash is praised, while Misha teases her fondly. Misha muses that, come to think of it, hearing about connections makes it feel rather like destiny, and Angelina echoes the word uncertainly. Misha brightly calls it a relationship woven by a fateful encounter, the very thing people would name a connection. The word snags something deep in Angelina, and she murmurs, shaken, of a past life. Misha cheerfully explains it is just an expression one often sees in stories, adding that it is funny to talk of words right after asking about royal linguistics. Misha concludes triumphantly that this means everyone thinks the same thing, and Angelina walks beside her in quiet thought. Angelina lowers her eyes, turning the words over in silence, connection, destiny, and a past life. A memory surfaces of the day Angelina first met Lord Ash, when strangely she felt no tension at all. Carlos recalls with faint bitterness that Ash was supposed to be the fiancé she chose only to keep from lowering the ducal house's status, as she formally requested the marriage proceed. Angelina presses her hands together, confessing that from the very beginning she felt everything would be all right with him. Walking beside Misha, she wonders quietly whether Lord Ash and she were together in a past life too. Something catches Angelina's eye, and she stops with a small startled ah. Misha follows her gaze toward a cluster of noble girls on a balcony, and Angelina asks what is wrong. A tall, composed young woman descends the stair, and a whisper names her Lady Sandika of the Rordic ducal house. Angelina notes gravely that the Rordic ducal house is a political enemy of the Steizen. She recalls that there were rumors Sandika aimed for the position of Lord Leonhardt's fiancée, and that it is rare for a noble lady her age to still have none. Misha leans in and asks whether Lady Angelina has heard about this, and Angelina asks about what. Misha reports that a certain baron's daughter was seen at Lady Sandika's side, leaving Angelina to echo which baron's daughter. Misha declares with a pointed finger that it is the baron's daughter Lord Leonhardt is infatuated with. Angelina blinks in surprise, wondering aloud whether there truly is someone like that. A memory surfaces of the black-haired girl beside the prince, said to be the adopted daughter of the Baron Shrugen family who has spent every day intimately with His Highness since school began. Angelina studies Sandika from afar, wondering what she is thinking to keep a baron's daughter like that by her side. A shadow falls over the two girls as an imperious voice remarks how rude they are being. Sandika sweeps up with her attendants, greeting Angelina with cool courtesy while someone from the Trimal family is named. Sandika observes evenly that it is quite rare for Angelina to call out to them, and Angelina returns the greeting warily. Sandika's lips curve as she begins. Well, you see. She explains coolly that when she called out to the insolent people making wicked assumptions about her relationship with Merc, it simply happened to be the two of them. Sandika declares with unbothered composure that this is precisely why she has decided to stay by Merc's side and protect her, while the attendant beside her adds pointedly that Merc is too gentle to notice malice. Sandika's heel and the girl's shoes face off across the floor as she coolly offers an example. Angelina holds her ground as Sandika names the culprits with a thin smile, likening her to someone who failed to become His Highness's fiancée and now envies Merc's closeness to him. Sandika levels a finger and warns with luminous menace that she will not let Angelina do whatever she pleases, not as long as she is breathing. Misha shrinks at Angelina's side as Angelina musters only a faint, bewildered the rival ladies already sweeping away up the stair with their retinue. Angelina touches a hand to her cheek in quiet exasperation, wondering what on earth the woman could possibly mean.